these things happen, let me be strong for my wife. Let me be strong for the mother of my child.
This is not the announcement that I plan to make. I really don't want to make this video, honestly, but I know that for the healing process of myself and for anyone else out there who is going through what I'm going through, if I can help you to validate some of the emotions that you're feeling, then that makes it a little bit more worth it. When we found out, we were extremely excited to be parents. It was actually a lot of emotions combined. I would say that one emotion that we really didn't have as much as I thought we would was shock. And that's because, you know, before we actually took the test and found out for sure that I was pregnant, we'd actually known, I'd say, for a good couple of days, maybe even weeks.
I'll tell you how we knew. We were on our way to Tennessee for Valentine's Day. So we were headed to Pigeon Forge, and we stopped in Mississippi, and she said, go get me some salt and vinegar chips. I pulled over to the gas station, didn't even get gas. It was snack time for her. I was like, something's up. Well, she doesn't normally eat vinegar chips, but on top of that, she wanted salt and vinegar chips with honey mustard. And in that moment, I said, she's pregnant.
A few days later, maybe even the next day, I think, the next day we ended up finding out that, like, I was. As soon as we got to Tennessee, we went to
Kroger.
Yeah, to Kroger. You know, we got some food to keep in the room and stuff because we like to eat.
Yes.
Period. That's on period. We went to the store. We got a test. We actually got a pack of 2. And
I'm crying.
We got a pack of 2. We got back to the room. We knew that, you know, you're supposed to take it with first morning urine and stuff. So we really wanted to take it in that moment. But we were like, nah, it's okay. We can wait. We'll just go to sleep. You know, we'll wake up early. And I remember, you know, sitting in the bed and talking to him and being like, so, like, what do you think? You think it's going to be positive? Like, you think it's going to be negative? Like, what do you think? Like
3 o'clock rather, in the morning. No, we couldn't sleep. We were too excited because we just knew.
We knew.
So I was laying there just thinking, what on this earth am I going to do if she's pregnant? Like, I don't know. What am I going to feel? Am I nervous? So she got up and went and took the test, and she ran in the room like 2 minutes after she had taken it, and she was like, it's getting dark, and it's not even been 3 minutes. I think
it had only been like 45 seconds, and like the second line was already showing. I said, oh my God, like I'm pregnant. And like I don't even know what I felt, honestly, because like I said before, we knew, but I guess, you know, part of you still get shocked and you still get excited. Mm-hmm. Like that's what we were feeling. It basically confirmed like all these thoughts we had in our mind. We're like, well, are we parents? Like, are we gonna have a baby? Like, are we? And we're like, in that moment, it was like, yes, we are. Like, you really are. Like, this is reality. It's right now. Mm-hmm. I didn't even record myself reading the test. Like, I was supposed to. We were going to make this whole big announcement video. I was supposed to record every step. But, like, you know, in the moment, I was too excited. I saw that second line pop up, and my brain exploded, and I didn't know what to do. So, I ran, like, the way our room was set up is, like, the bathroom is right here. There was kind of, like, a half wall, and then, like, the bed is on the other side. So, I'm all the way in the bathroom. I run around like the little wall. I go to Daryl. He's not even awake all the way. Like, he's half asleep, half awake. Like, he was...
I didn't know what was going on.
In that moment, he was finally starting to go to sleep. And here I come to disturb his peace. I run around the room, and I'm like, it's positive. And he's like, what? I was like, it's positive. And he's like,
I thought I was
it's been 3 minutes. And I said, no, it's been like 50 seconds. But, like, it's positive. Like, it's getting darker. It's positive. And I just kept saying over, it's positive, it's positive.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So we found out, which it was so great. She couldn't ride any like rides though. It was like we were gonna go to the fair the next day. I was like, well, that's out, and I didn't mind it for the first time. I didn't mind it either. I didn't mind it.
I said,
had a little human.
It is what it is.
And so we called a few people. Like,
we had a whole list of people.
We called my mom. Now, mind you, it's 3:00 here and 2:00 in Louisiana. So we were just like, sorry, we can't hold it. And for us, it was so surreal. We were incredibly happy. Those are moments that I think that we're gonna actually hold for the rest of our lives. It was a joyous occasion. So we're gonna take that from that. And she kept eating. Ooh, Jesus. She kept eating. I mean, every time I turned around, she was eating, man. And she slept.
I was in bed at 6. Faithfully. Oh, yeah. He had all the nausea.
The symptoms were me. Okay.
I had morning sickness maybe 2 times. 2 times my entire pregnancy. He was sick every day.
Every single day.
When we decided to tell people, of course, we had that list of people that we wanted to tell. Our list, like, we had it together. We didn't want to tell everybody, but we had like that certain set list and, maybe 5 or 6 people that we knew like right off the bat we wanted to tell. As soon as we got that test, we saw that positive, like we went to work. Out of all those people, we had 2 certain people that we still had to, get the message to. But I wanted to take my time because if you know me, you know these people, especially one of them, sis. She a little cray-cray. No, I'm just playing.
Oh, don't even put that in there, baby. Don't even.
There are 2 certain people in my life that like they are instrumental in every single part of my life. Like they've paved the way for me. They've done everything for me, like from birth till now. I'm still spoiled. I'm 22 and I don't care. If I need something, I'm finna call my daddy right now. And I promise you, before I hang up, it's finna be at my door. I promise.
She's spoiled.
I promise. And if I have a problem with somebody, I'm going to call my mama.
And she gonna fight.
I don't have to resolve nothing for myself because she going to fight for me. Period. So those 2 knew from jump we had to do something a little different. So I had the idea to make them Valentine's Day baskets. I ended up going to the store. Once we found all the little snacks, we found some cute little baskets. I think they're actually baskets that you use for like house decorations, and we found some red tissue paper just to spice it up a little bit. We were actually going to hide the pregnancy test kind of in between the paper and some of the items so that they wouldn't see it as soon as they got the basket. We wanted them to be able to actually have to dig into it a little bit before they saw the real surprise.
When we got home, like, first of all, we were just so nervous and excited to tell them. They're going through them, and father-in-law was just like, hey, you know what? I like that. Oh, thank you. Y'all don't have to do that. And mother-in-law is going through, oh, look what I got. And she trying to look in his basket. My father-in-law picked up a bib, and he stopped. He said, okay, what's this? Grandpa.
And my mom goes, my mom.
She froze, y'all.
And she just screams for like 20 minutes straight. Yes. She's all these different emotions. Like, she's so happy. She's like, oh my God, I'm getting a grandbaby. And she's like, oh, my baby's having a baby. And then she's like, oh, this is my twin girl. Wait a minute. It was a lot at once. Mm-hmm. But it was pure joy.
Absolutely. But then, on February 16th, I was at work, and Mariah texted me, and she's like, I'm bleeding. And I was like, what? And she was like, yes. And she was like, it's not stopping. It's kind of a lot. I don't know what's going on. And she was scared. And with this being our first child, we, I didn't want to leave her there alone. So, I spoke with my bosses, and I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry. I know I just came in, but I have to go. My wife's pregnant, and, I have to be there for her. I need to go see about her. So I ended up leaving work and going back home to pick her up. We ended up going to the hospital, and we had gotten there, and what upset me was I wasn't able to go in. So my wife is sitting there, and before we got an answer of what had happened, she had been sitting there for hours. And so I'm in my car crying, trying to get some form of hope. let me read the word, let me pray.
Like, I'm in some ER room by myself. I'm keeping him updated through texts. I'm going in and out of the room, getting my urine tested for this, getting blood drawn for that. I was in there for hours and nobody had any answers for me. When it first started, it was literally just like a few spots. And I'd heard, bleeding during pregnancy is normal. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm just one of those people that, just bleeds. And like, I just thought, well, maybe I'm just one of those women. Maybe I don't need to think too hard about it. I remember I stood up and I felt like a small gush. It was very, very small. I go, to the bathroom to check, and it's like a little splash of blood. And my heart dropped. Do I need to call somebody at this point? Do I just wait it out? I texted him immediately. The bleeding did start to pick up. I was filling pads and I was passing clots. By the time I got to the hospital, I was basically overflowing the pad that I had on, and I had just put it on maybe like an hour, maybe 2 hours ago. I remember getting there and just waiting for somebody to even acknowledge me. I just remember feeling so helpless. I've heard miscarriage stories before. I don't know, I just never thought it would happen to me. Even if I did think it could happen to me, I could have never imagined what it would really be like.
Mm-hmm.
It was far beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I'm laying back there after going through all these tests, just waiting on someone to come tell me the results of something. I'm bracing myself for bad news. After my 5th hour of waiting in the ER, in cold room, I'm kind of tucked away in the corner. I thought the nurses forgot about me for a while. They sent the tech in that actually did my ultrasound. They found the baby, that the baby had a heart rate of 119, which was normal. The baby was measuring at 5 weeks and 6 days, which was, what I was. So everything looked normal. They couldn't give me an answer as to why I was bleeding. Like, I didn't even believe them at first. I'm sitting here. They don't want to come tell me anything. They don't want to tell me bad news. They're waiting on some other nurse to come in, so they have to tell me and they don't have to worry about it. But then she comes in here and tells me, like, no, your baby's fine. These things just happen sometime. I've seen this happen to women before, and they went on to have healthy babies. They go home, rest up, don't do too much of anything, and try to get in with your OB as soon as possible, and hope everything works out for you.
She was good. From that moment, we had no more bleeding, a little bit of spotting here and there. But that was it. About a week or so later, I ended up having to preach a revival at my church. She was just not missing it. Like, I've got the best wife, guys. And to have her there, even through what we went through, was a testimony for me. I preached hard that night. And it was just beautiful. I was just so happy and glad that God had, spared our child. Mariah was almost 3 months pregnant, about a week and a half shy of being out of the first trimester. March 19th, we were scheduled for an ultrasound at 8:30 that morning. We were just excited.
We were excited to see our fighter, like our miracle baby.
About 2 a.m. that morning, Mariah woke me up, and the morning of our ultrasound, and she was like, "Hey, I'm bleeding.
Here we go. We're going through this again."
Heavy bleeding and clotting. And she kept having to get up and go back to the bathroom. Just the entire process was it was ominous. The whole ride, which was down the street, but the ride seemed to take 5 hours. Started doing the ultrasound, it's supposed to be a joyous occasion.
By the time we made it to our appointment, I had already passed everything. It's just really hard. So the doctor's sitting there and she's telling me things. She's basically going down the list. She's saying, hey, there's no heartbeat. There's no fetal pulse. To hear that was just, it was suffocating to hear. I remember, like, as soon as she told me, in that moment, like, I just felt numb. I felt, like my face was tingling. Like, I felt like I wasn't even in reality. Like, I was just sitting there listening but not listening. My first instinct was to hide. I wanted to hide what happened to me. I wanted to pretend like it never happened. But there was one problem with that. I couldn't pretend like it didn't happen because it did happen. It did. And no matter how badly I wanted to forget it, I can never forget it. To be so excited for something, to fall in love with something and look forward to its arrival and think of names and envision yourself changing, becoming someone else because of this new tiny little creature, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. I don't even know, like, to this day, I really don't even have words to describe what that's like. I would say that some good things have come from this. I definitely feel things a lot more deeply. My heart, first and foremost, my heart aches, literally aches, for women everywhere who have to go through this, who have to get so excited for the arrival of their babies, starting their families, adding to their families, creating this beautiful little creature, you know, that looks just like them or just like the person that they love. And maybe they got to paint their rooms and pick out little outfits, and maybe they even got to see them on ultrasound a few times, got to see them jump around, see their little facial features on the ultrasounds, just for it to be all taken away. That's horrible.
After the devastation of that appointment, took Mariah home, and me not wanting to, release the bottle of emotions I was holding in front of her, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go get you something to eat. As soon as I had gotten it, and of course we had let my mom and my sister know. So by the time I made it out of the door, they were at my house. I didn't have to say a word to them. The only thing they asked was, where's Mariah? Told her she was up there, she's okay. My mom grabbed me and she pulled me in close. She held me, and I cried like a baby in the arms of my mom. My sister grabbed me, held me, and I cried some more. During times like this, it's always the assumption that a miscarriage doesn't affect a man as much as it does a woman. Let me be strong for my wife. Let me be strong for the mother of my child, right? That's our first instinct. I didn't want to cry in front of Mariah. Now, I did now. I cried, Lord knows. But I didn't want to cry in front of Mariah because I didn't want to add to the distress that she was already going through. She had an emotional attachment. She had a hormonal attachment with our child. And of course, it was going to be rough on her. And I did not want to add to that because I didn't want her to feel guilty. And I certainly felt no ill feelings toward my wife throughout this entire ordeal. If anything, she was strong to me. But what I felt during that time was I was extremely hurt, questioned a lot of things. My hurt and sadness started to turn into anger. I know it was nobody's fault, but I wanted to be angry at something, right? So I had to be careful because at that given time, any little thing could have just set me off. It's nobody's fault. These things happen. So eventually, while I'm in the Chick-fil-A line trying not to cry, Mariah FaceTimes me and she's talking, and I'm just in there thinking the incredible amount of strength to be able to even fathom hope right now. She just started to say things, and I couldn't talk at this time. By this time, I'm bawling. She's bawling, but she's still finding the strength to be able to speak. The days after the miscarriage have been the hardest.
I definitely feel like there are parts of this battle I've had to fight alone. Daryl has been amazing at the things that he can help with, the things that he can control, the things that he can remedy. But the bottom line is there are certain things that he just cannot help me get through, no matter how hard he tries. My bond with our child is different from his bond with our child. Mine isn't any better than his, it's just different. So he can't really help me navigate my grief. And that is scary sometimes, and it's hard, but it's reality. And we're getting through it.
We know, we've heard several times that it's going to be all right. We've heard, these things just happen. It just wasn't God's timing.
And I know that some people watching this will be people who have never had a miscarriage, never experienced it for yourself. You may know people who have had miscarriages, and you may think you know what it's like from knowing people and seeing people, go through them. But I promise you, and I pray that you never experience this pain for yourself, because I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. But if you happen to go through it, you will find out very quickly that you had no idea how painful this could really be. So please, while you're trying to be sympathetic towards your friends who are going through things like this, just really think before you speak, really. Because you could say things that you think are helpful towards them when you really just make it worse. Things like,
it just wasn't God's timing.
You could have another baby.
It's going to be all right.
We don't want to hear that. Okay? If your mom died, I wouldn't tell you can get another mom. You could get a stepmom. Why? Because it's not the same. The bond that you have with your mother, you can never have with another woman. So it doesn't matter that I can have another baby. I'm mourning the loss of the bond that I had with this one. And I know that I'll have more children, and I know that I'll love them, and I know they'll make me happy, and they may wipe away some of the pain that I'm feeling, but they will never fully replace the bond that I started with this child that I lost. And that's what you really have to understand. To the women out there that have experienced pregnancy loss or even lost a child during birth or as a young child or a grown-up child, I feel like it makes no difference. Whether you've known your child for a day or a decade, that love is the same. The minute that a mother finds out about their child, she is head over heels for this little thing that she's never even met before. So to have that taken away from you is extremely difficult. And if I could give you any piece of advice, I would say just to be gracious towards yourself. Allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to get mad, get angry. Of course, you don't want to stay there, but if you have to be there right now, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. It's normal. And you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not a freak for having to go through this. This topic is very hidden in society. We don't like to talk about pregnancy loss. Like when someone finds out they're pregnant, we don't like to talk about how, it's very likely to end before you reach the first trimester. Like nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to be negative, but it's true. It could happen. And I feel like once you go through that first loss, your innocence is really just stolen after that. Like from now on, when I have future children, when I find out that, I'm pregnant again, I'll be happy. I'll be extremely excited, but my sense of innocence will no longer be there. I won't be, smitten head over heels. I'll have a real grip on reality, and I'll know that, a variety of things could happen. I'll remain hopeful, but I'll know that those two lines don't guarantee me anything.